Hi, I'm SuperSocks and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I upload videos all about the games I love and try to tell a good old yarn in the process. So if you like what you see, feel free to click the subscribe button. And if you like my videos, then it would help me greatly if you could click on the little thumbs up or even the thumbs down button. Anyway, now that's done with, if you could humour me a few more minutes, I would like to have a little chat about a game that has the potential, in my humble opinion, to be the next big thing. Let's start this chat with Diablo, with all its ARPG goodness. It's fast action, you're scything down enemies with a suite of magic tricks and weaponry. You're levelling up, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger with each foe you vanquished. You're getting new gear, new weapons, and you're all building up to a final fight with a big boss and the epic in battle that ensues. Now imagine, if you will, that a game like Diablo had little alone time with a roguelike. I'm thinking Hades or Curse of the Dead Gods. And this passionate moment birthed an utterly genius concept that I'm amazed hasn't been thought of before. Don't quote me on this, it may have done, but I've not seen it. It's a game that even in its early access condition at the moment is already pulling me back in time and time again for a new run. I haven't felt this much love for a roguelike since probably Hades. Welcome to Ravenswatch. In its simplest terms, Ravenswatch is Diablo, if only lasted half an hour. As the player, you pick from one of 6 characters. As this game is in early access, there are currently only 6 to pick from, with more to follow as development progresses. All of these characters are a spin on your usual ARPG types, the barbarian, the rogue, etc, etc. And they're loosely based on protagonists from old literature. So you've got Beowulf, who I guess is your barbarian style class. There's Scala, also I guess would be Little Red Riding Hood. There's the Pied Piper, whose I guess closest comparison would be a rogue. Then there's a magic dealer in the form of the Snow Queen, and that's just to name a few of them. Each character plays wildly differently, with their own suite of powers, each with their own cooldowns. And with your character chosen, you head off on your adventure on a procedurally generated map. You then have 4 in-game days, which in total takes around half an hour to take on quests, kill monsters, level up, buy perks and upgrades before you try to take on the boss of that level. One thing to obviously bear in mind, as I said earlier on, that this game is very much in early access. There's only one chapter, or I should say level, at the moment, with more coming as the development progresses. Yet even with this one chapter, this game is so much bloody fun. The combat is smooth. If you've played any ARPG, it's all going to come naturally to you. Learning which abilities to use on which enemies, and comboing attacks on enemies. I appreciate the twists on some of the characters. For instance, Scala, with her wolf influences, during the in-game night portions, she turns into a werewolf and you get to use a whole different suite of abilities for her. Or you've got the Pied Piper that uses rats as a kind of crowd control mechanic. Upgrading your character each time you level up brings the roguelike side of things into play, picking specific upgrades dependent on the build you're going for. The process of buying additional upgrades or perks is almost MOBA-esque. You collect gold from nodes scattered around the map. You then use a fast travel point to teleport back to your main starting location, to do a little shopping before you head back out into the fray again. There's mini quests, there's chests that have extra perks you can use, there's mini bosses that if defeated help lower the strength and health of the final boss, there's mini dungeons, there's timed battles, and there's even a little sly nod to other open world games that help you reveal parts of the map. All of this goodness is packed into this half an hour play session. It's absolute madness and I love it. The roguelike part of it comes into play as well upon death. In solo, you have 4 revives, but these are shared across your group when you're playing co-op. And co-op you can play with three other people. Once these revives, or feathers as they're known in the game, are used up, that's it. Game over. You're done. All done. And then you go back to starting a new run. Depending on how far you've gotten with your character, after each run they will level up, giving you access to more upgrades that you can then collect in your next run. And each character has their own levelling up path, so even in this, I guess you'd call it bare bones early access, there is still a silly amount of replayability. Touching on graphics and sound for a minute, graphically the game has a nice, simple yet incredibly effective art style. It's almost cel shaded in the way it looks. And it's very similar to the developer's previous game, Curse of the Dead Gods. It's that kind of look. It works really well. The colour palette changes when the day shifts from day to night and back again. There's bright pops when magic is cast against the darker, I guess, muted colours of the background and the enemies. One thing I also have to say, I mean, sound is fantastic. It's great. You hear little quips from your enemies. All the spells and abilities have a good crunchy sound to them, like when the Snow Queen is using her dash mechanic by spreading ice around the location that you're fighting. You hear the crunching of the ice. It's all very good. And one thing I do appreciate, being an old man struggling with mouse and keyboard, is that there's full controller support, which is superb. No need to fanny around with anything, changing anything. It's brilliant. As I said before, you can play co-op or solo, with co-op with 3 other people. I've only played solo thus far, but I believe, from what I understand, the enemies and difficulties do scale depending on the number of people you bring along with you. My only slight issue that I have at present is the balancing for solo players. The difficulty curve I found to be a little steep, with death coming a little too quickly for my liking. But that could just be my middle-aged skills and not what they used to be. But overall, if you have a spare £20 to spend, I know in these current times that can be a bit tricky, then I cannot recommend this game highly enough, even in its current early access state. I honestly believe if this game continues the way it's going, this is going to be something truly, truly special. And I can't wait to experience more of it. I'm going to dive straight back in as soon as I've finished recording this to go for another run. I absolutely love it, and I'm sure you will too. So thank you very much for watching, much appreciated. I've been Super Socks, and I will see you soon. Take care, bye.